guys? So today we are jumping into Absolute using the Thunderhammer. This is a blocking variant, of course, and we are trying to do some charge attacks because recently Perseverance has been buffed. And Perseverance is going to help us take less damage when we are doing charge attacks, as you see right there. And honestly, I had a hard time getting charge attacks to work because I feel like sometimes you just take too much damage when you are charging up your attack. And not to mention, I think I just got a little bit better at using Assault as well. So sometimes if a build doesn't work out, you know, come back to it and then, you know, you might be able to find some new aspects to appreciate about it. Maybe you just get a little bit better. And so Perseverance was recently buffed, and as you see right there, charge attacks can be absolutely devastating. They are really fun, I gotta say. Once I started to, you know, get used to the charge attacks, especially in this operation, I had a great time with this class. But yes, the blocking Thunderhammer is definitely strong. Yeah, sometimes with charge attacks, you can take a little bit too much damage when you're charging them up. And I think Perseverance, the buff, did a good job at aiming the Assault class into a direction where they can actually start to tank a little bit more damage. And frankly, that's all the Assault class really needs, is some damage resistance, and I feel like it can put it into a really good spot. And now, the charge attacks, again, they are definitely a little bit weird to use in Absolute. Right here, I'm trying to land a perfect, a perfect slam. That was really good. But yeah, charge attacks can be a little bit weird because sometimes when you're going for the slam, you know, the enemies can throw a more dangerous attack at you. There's like the lack of animation canceling with the Thunderhammer can be pretty tricky to, you know, kind of work around. This Carnifex is getting absolutely obliterated, by the way. I think the Bulwark here was able to stand up to the Carnifex and just tank a lot of damage. You can see them right now. They dropped the banner. They're looking to refill their health. And I knew they dropped the banner basically at a point where they weren't expecting to get the execution. And once I saw the Carnifex was within a slam amount of health, you know, I just decided to finish off the Carnifex, and we got the job done against that Terminus. And look at that jump scare, dude. I literally looked around and the, like, where did that Major come from? That was crazy. I think he jumped up into the bridge, but the way that clip looked, it just looked so funny. He's really tried to just, like, you know, jump scare me right there. And now this is the one of the objectives that you need to do in Inferno. And in Absolute, this part can definitely be a pain. And I pointed out the stim there, so don't get mad at me for picking that stim up. Nobody wanted it, so I picked it up. And yes, we are looking for the codes, and we got them. So, so that was a pretty quick part there. So that was actually kind of nice. Sometimes you expect to roll through everything in Absolute, and sometimes, you know, sometimes the objectives just go in your way. What isn't going in our way right now is this mob. We have a few extremist spawns here. Obviously, I'm trying my best to just slam down on some majors to basically just clear out the horde a little bit. Obviously, the charge attacks are fun, but I feel like blocking, you definitely kind of need it for the charge attacks because that initial windup will give you an armor piece for that, an armor slot. You will regain some armor with the initial windup on the charge attack with blocking, which is really nice. And not to mention, you obviously just get a little bit more melee damage from a blocking Thunderhammer as well. And I've been playing quite a bit of blocking at this point. I still have more experience with fencing and, you know, parrying in general. But right here is a good example of why blocking is just really good against, you know, basically attack spam from majors. I was able to just sit there and block, and then as soon as I felt ready enough to, you know, wind up a charge attack, I was able to get it through and get my contested health back and get some armor back. So overall, I wasn't feeling too oppressed by the amount of swings that those majors were doing. Now, with parrying, I know you can likely pull it off as well. You just sit there and do a couple parries. But I just feel like a wind-up blocking attack with the Thunderhammer is just a little bit more impactful than a gun strike. And not to mention, depending on what perks you're using, that gun strike might be a trade. With the blocking Thunderhammer, when you have max blocking stacks, also say goodbye to this Biovore. This Biovore just leaves. Yes. with a blocking Thunderhammer with max stacks, it's a lot easier to just push back majors that may be spam attacking you. And then with the fencing, with the fencing sword, you gotta, you gotta wait for the perfect moment for a gun strike. And it's, sometimes it can be weird because sometimes you can do a gun strike and you get hit by a major, so it hits you out of the gun strike. Gun striking requires you to basically find a good moment for it, where blocking, it's more of you can force your way into having a good moment as long as you have 2 blocking stacks. So it's kind of like it's basically a test of your reaction to depend on what, type of melee variant is good for you. But I think both have good utility, and you can definitely get away with shredding people with blocking and fencing. And right there, I know I know you saw that I didn't get an execution from that first slam. That first slam overkilled that major. And we were able to get through this part without much issue. Oh, wait, never mind. This Biovore comes back. Now, I actually don't know if this is the Biovore from earlier, but this guy was definitely kind of a pain for me because I have a hard time gauging how to, approach these guys with melee. I haven't really had too much practice against a melee Biovore yet. And I know I can slam, but I didn't want to slam without any impact and have the Biovore just continue doing what it's doing. And that is, shooting spore mines, and I figured this was going to be rough. But luckily we're able to get, some damage onto it. We get an execution right there. And I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing too when I watched this clip. That tactical was in a tough spot regardless. He went in for a melee attack against the Biovore. He did not go in for an execution. You can watch it back if you want, but the tactical was full-blown melee. Yeah, he was trying to melee the Biovore. The thing here, though, we do have a really good bulwark. We honestly have a really good bulwark here. It is, I believe it's John Helldiver, so that's always a good sign. But yeah, he does have a banner, and he is able to heal me and the tactical. So don't really worry about the executions in this match. When you have a bulwark that's able to just clean up those mistakes, then you're in a really good spot for a absolute completion. And yes, this was definitely a rough encounter for me. That guy just jumped right on top of me, but luckily I was able to do the perfect dodge and get a nice gun strike. And I know you guys likely saw the team perks already, and I know I'm using squad cohesion, but I honestly really enjoy using squad cohesion. I was using blocking for blocking specifically. Because I know I don't get that many gun strikes, and I know you can buff the gun strikes of your teammates as well, but it just wasn't really doing it for me because I really wanted to basically get the damage from my hammer as soon as possible. I wanted to get a ground slam as soon as possible, and even if it's just 10% more, I'm going to take it with a blocking Thunderhammer. It's a lot of extra jumps, I get it, squad cohesion isn't the best, but for a blocking Thunderhammer, I feel like so much of your damage just comes from the fact that you gotta swing your hammer, and to have your jetpack sooner than later really helps out your overall DPS. As you can see right here, definitely going for the slams really helped me out. I get out of a lot of trouble just from the fact that I have my jetpack as soon as possible, basically. Another great charge attack. There were so many good charge attacks throughout this entire operation, dude. Assault is so much fun to play right now. It is just, I'm having a blast with it. I understand Assault might need some buffs, or, it definitely needs some sort of adjustments, and we will talk about that, but I was actually super happy with how this class performed with a build that I wasn't too sure was going to work because I had problems using it in the past. And even if it's just a little extra damage resistance, I just think for whatever reason it went a far way. And not to mention, I do believe I got a little bit better with blocking as well. The blocking Thunderhammer is one of my favorite weapons in the game. And what also really helps is that Chaos skin. That Chaos skin looks so good. Like, this is the best I've looked as Assault since I played the game, I think. Oh, also, yeah, I did get some good work out of my pistol as well. The heavy bolt pistol is a, if you need your contested health back, the heavy bolt pistol is the way to go with Assault. The Neo-Volkite pistol is good if if you're confident with your parrying and gun strikes to get your armor back. Then, you're in a good spot to protect yourself. But the heavy bolt pistol, its ability to get your contested health back is a great way to protect yourself. So, like, you can if you don't know, Assault has a perk where if you gun strike, you can get an armor piece back. So, I don't know. I find if you're gun striking to definitely use that perk to help Assault survive a little bit more. Not that I'm even using that build in this video, but just wanted to explain that part. Dude, also, look, this Bulwark out-melee'd me by like 700 points. I did outrange the Bulwark, but then our Tactical put up 20k, so good for him. We had a really good team. The charge attacks are definitely worth it. Perseverance is a nice buff. Very fun, very strong build.